Hey guys, I'm going live on Facebook right now as well, so bear with me. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is there. I am currently live on YouTube and on Facebook. Today's going to be a super quick study. And let me adjust this lighting. I feel like I'm so bright. So I had this question asked to me, and I was asked if I can provide evidence from the scriptures that heaven is for real, that heaven is a tangible place like earth. And how can I attest this? And do I have the study for you today? Do I have the study for you today? I'm trying to adjust this a little bit. I feel like I'm too bright on YouTube. Anyways, I have the study for you today. Okay, so we're going to get into this. It's going to be a super quick. How do you know heaven is for real? How do you know that heaven is like earth? There are tons of scriptures, but for the sake of time, I'm going to give you two scriptures to meditate on today. Two scriptures for you to kind of take in and digest. And maybe later I'll do a deep dive on how I know personally. I told you guys I've had a near death experience myself, and I've actually been to heaven. So when you guys hear me talk about these other videos, that heaven is literally, heaven has departments, heaven has different sections. When Satan Satan wasn't fallen because he was the department that Satan was in. He was trying to get to the next level. This is why he said he wanted to be above the stars. He wanted to be above the department that he was in. You guys hear me talk about when I talk about heaven, I talk about that, or the spiritual realm. I talk about contracts, spiritual contracts that are in place. This is because heaven is just like earth, and it's operated similar to here. This is why the Bible refers to basically anything that is in heaven, kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Everything is kind of like a mirror to each other. Okay, so I'm going to give you two scriptures today. We're going to start in Revelation 7:1, and then we'll go to the next verse and we'll dig a little bit deeper. But I'll have to do an actual study on this, because this is a big one and it's a deep one. And I think that when people start to get this, you'll start to understand why spirituality is so important. Why spirituality is so important. Why is it so important for you to understand that you are a spiritual being living a physical experience, right? And when we start to get this, everything changes. So we're going to be in Revelations chapter 1 and verse 1. Again, you guys see me switching screens. It's because I'm live on YouTube and Facebook, okay? And I can try to adjust this. Anyways, it doesn't matter. This is going to be a quick study. All right. So Revelation chapter 7, verse 1, and it reads, and everybody know John wrote the book of Revelations, right? We're tracking on that. Like, that's nothing new. Everybody know this. Okay. So Revelations chapter 7, verse 1, and it reads, and after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth. So John is saying he saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding four winds. I want you to remember that word, holding four winds. Holding four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels So there are 4 angels standing on the 4 corner of the earth, right? This is John talking about. He saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners, and these 4 angels were holding 4 winds. Okay, so we tracking on that. And the angel said to do not blow these winds on the earth, nor the sea, nor any tree yet. This angel, one angel ascended from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. So John says he saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. They were holding 4 winds, and they said, he's one angel that was carrying the seal of the living God said, stop. Before you guys get started with your destruction on the earth, hold up. I have to seal God's elect. And as you go on, you see that this is exactly what's happening. The elects, God's elects are being sealed in their hands and their forehead for the tribulation, right? I did a study that God's elects will be here on earth when the tribulation happens, right? That's a story for another day. So we tracking on that. 4 corner of the earth, 4 winds, going to cause destruction to the 4 corner of the earth. Now, when you guys hear this word, the 4 corner of the earth, what are you guys thinking about? When I hear 4 corners of the earth, I think of the earth as a whole, right? I think of northeast, south, and west, right? I think of the 4 directions of the earth. I think of that every space of the earth is what we're talking about. So when I heard John say the 4 corners of the earth, and these angels were holding the 4 winds, that they would be destroying the earth, I think the whole earth, right? If you're thinking along that line, listen up to this, okay? We're going to go now to Matthew chapter 24. And Matthew chapter 24 is the sign of the end time. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read one verse to you. But the synopsis of this chapter is talking about what's going to unfold during the tribulation, what we can look for, what are the signs, what the elects are going to be doing, who's getting raptured. All this is in Matthew 24. But here in verse 31, here's something interesting that says in verse 31. And it reads, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. God's going to send his angels with a great sound of the trumpet. And this verse is after it says in verse 30, it says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So the verse before, in verse 30, Jesus is coming in the clouds from heaven, and all the earth can see this, and they're going to mourn because they're going to realize they were worshiping the wrong God. They're going to realize all these things. But here in verse 31, it says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and angels are plural, meaning multiple, with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds. Here's the 4 winds again. When we hear 4 winds, we're thinking about what? North, east, south, and west. But listen to what he says after this verse. So the angels are going to gather his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Hold up. We're not talking about earth. We're talking about heaven here. Wait a minute. Back up. We're not talking about earth here. We're talking about heaven. And in Revelations chapter 7, verse 1, 2, and 3, we were talking about the earth. But here in this Matthew 24, verse 31, we just read that heaven has 4 corners, just like earth does. Because he says the 4 winds from one end of heaven to the next. So heaven is similar to earth. So when you guys, this question was asked, can I prove scripturally speaking, that heaven is just like earth, because I keep talking about spiritual contracts. I keep talking about spiritual laws that are in effect. I keep talking about, different departments, that Satan was in a different department, that there are angels in different department, that there are different levels to heaven. I'm telling you, we just read in Matthew 31 that God said he's going to send angels with the sound of a trumpet to gather his elect from the four winds, from one side of heaven to the next. First of all, heaven is so massive that God sends multiple angels to the four winds of heaven to gather his elect from one end to the next. Did you hear what I just said? Heaven is so massive that they need to sound a trumpet to gather God's elect. And it says the four winds of heaven. Verse 31, I'll read it to you. So again, I be speaking to y'all. I'm not speaking for myself. Okay. This is the word of God. Verse 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds. From the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. From the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. North, east, south, and west is the same as in heaven. So when we read in Revelation chapter 1 or chapter 7, verse 1, where John is saying that he saw four angels at the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, right? We see the similarity here in Matthew 24:31 in heaven. Heaven, a lot of us will be shocked when we get to heaven to see that heaven is a lot like earth. I keep telling you guys this. There are departments, there are contracts, there are laws. There is a lot that if you don't understand how to read the Bible, you will miss reading the same Bible you've been reading for 10, 20, 30 years. Okay, so I hope this answer, listen, is so much deeper than this. But for the sake of time today, I just wanted to hop on here and answer this question super quick for you guys. Heaven has departments like earth. Heaven has laws. Heaven has contracts. Heaven is similar to this realm that we are currently in. Okay, we just read in Revelation 7, verse 1, that John said that he saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth. What does it mean, four winds? It means north, east, west, and south, right? And when you think of that, you're thinking about a totality of a place or a space. When we're talking about the four winds, we're thinking of the totality. When we talk about the four corners of the earth, we're thinking about earth in its totality, right? Because after that, John says an angel rose up from the east carrying the seal of the living God and said, stop, do not hurt the earth in its totality until we've sealed God elect, right? That's Revelation 7:1. But then we hop to Matthew 24:31, and we see that again, God sends his angels again in heaven this time to gather his elect at the four corner, carrying at the four winds, from the four winds of heaven. Let me get that out right. God sends his angels in heaven to the four winds of heaven to gather his elect from one end of heaven to the next. How can that be? Because heaven is just like here, guys. We have to shift our gear in the way that we think about spiritual things. The same Bible you guys been reading all these years, it's been there. It's just that we don't have eyes to see all the time, right? But the same way John said the four winds of the earth in Matthew 24:31, it's the four winds of heaven. Okay, so I hope this answers your question. Heaven has departments just like earth. Heaven has laws. There are contractual laws that are in place. that governs angels, that governs the beings of heaven. Another good example of this is Jacob is wrestling an angel. An angel comes to Jacob, and this is when Jacob's name is changed to Israel, right? Jacob is wrestling the angel. The angel say, "Hey man, let me go," because the angel saw that dawn was breaking. And when the angel saw that dawn was breaking, the angel was like, "Oh crap, I have to get back." Why did the angel press Jacob so much to let him go when he realized that the day was breaking? Because there are spiritual laws in place for the creatures and the beings of heaven. Okay, so Revelation 7:1 just told you that earth, John saw the four angels standing on the four corners of the earth to gather God's elect. And Matthew 24:31 read, again, the angels are sent to gather the elect from the four winds of heaven. It's the same thing. So I hope this answers your question. I wanted to get on here super quick and just answer that real quick. Heaven is just like earth, guys. We have to shift our perspective from carnal way of thinking to spiritual way of thinking. The answers are in the scriptures. We're getting there. I'm gonna help y'all uncover it as this stuff is exciting. But God bless you guys. I got two screens here, so I got to do it multiple times. But God bless you guys. I love you guys. I hope this blesses who it needs to. I hope that this drives the curiosity in your soul to get you closer to Christ, to get you seeking after the things of God, to get you to dive into God, to get you to open the Bible and read it carefully, like with a fine comb, going through it, sieving through the words, because we are reading this. This is King James. This ain't even some, other translation. This is out of the King James I just read from. So God bless you guys, and you have a wonderful day.